Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a genuinely fascinating case study that points to a massive, seismic shift in how we actually use the internet. We're going to be talking about a tech startup called Peec AI. And look, their story isn't just about cool software. It's literally a blueprint for explosive growth, and it is a giant, flashing warning sign that traditional search, as we know it, is dying. If you want to know exactly where the internet is heading next, you've got to understand this story. Here is our blueprint for today. First, the $10 million milestone. Second, the rise of GEO. Third, esports, billboards, and culture. And finally, Europe's new AI playbook. Let's get right into it. Okay, part one, the $10 million milestone. So to really wrap our heads around the scale of what is happening here, we have to set the stage in Berlin. This is where Peec AI is basically taking the traditional rulebook for startup growth and throwing it entirely out the window. They just hit $10 million in annualized recurring revenue. $10 million. Now, in the software world, hitting that number usually takes years, right? Years of grinding, pivoting, and slow market adoption. But they hit this staggering milestone in just 6 months after their Series A. The financial stakes here are absolutely massive. We're not talking about some theoretical future. The money is moving right now. And this explosive velocity is exactly what's turning heads everywhere. Back when they raised their $21 million Series A and achieved a valuation of over $100 million, by the way, they were sitting at roughly $4 million in ARR. Fast forward just 6 months, boom, $10 million. They literally more than doubled their revenue in half a year. It's not just that they're growing fast, the pace of that growth is actively accelerating. Which brings us to part two, the rise of Geo. You've got to ask yourself, right? How on earth could a startup make so much money so incredibly quickly, building a product for a category that barely even existed 18 months ago? Well, it all boils down to one big question. What exactly is Geo? Look, you've probably spent the last decade obsessing over SEO, search engine optimization. We all have. But Geo? That is the totally new frontier. And it is actively, aggressively replacing that traditional search bar we use every single day. Generative engine optimization is essentially the process of tracking, measuring, and improving a brand's visibility within AI-generated responses. Think about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or Perplexity. When you ask one of these conversational bots to, say, recommend a great running shoe or a solid CRM software, which brands does it actually spit out? Peec AI provides the ultimate dashboard that lets marketers monitor, measure, and directly influence exactly that outcome. We are watching a total changing of the guard here. The old guard, traditional SEO, was all about scratching and clawing for Google rankings, trying to force users to click a bunch of blue links, and fighting over a monopolized results page. GEO completely flips that script. It is conversational. Consumers don't want to sift through pages of links anymore. They are asking direct questions, and they expect immediate, definitive answers right from the bots. Think about it. If your brand isn't in that AI's answer, you essentially don't exist anymore. And the numbers back this up in a huge way. According to Google's very own data, AI overviews are now showing up on roughly 60% of US search queries. 60%. The digital real estate for traditional SEO is shrinking right before our eyes. Those standard search engine results pages that used to command all of our attention and all of our marketing dollars are just getting pushed further and further down by AI-generated summaries. And you better believe the people holding the marketing budgets are completely aware of this shift. A recent report from Canva found that an incredible 97% of marketing leaders are now using AI every single day. For any brand out there that relies on online discovery to get customers, making the jump from SEO to Geo isn't just a nice idea. It's absolutely non-negotiable. Consumer behavior has fundamentally changed, and marketer behavior is sprinting to catch up. Now, obviously, a gold rush this massive is going to attract serious competition. You've got industry giants like HubSpot and SEMrush scrambling to introduce bolt-on AI search tools to their existing platforms. There are point solutions popping up everywhere. But Peec AI has a massive structural edge because of their native architecture. They were built from the ground up specifically for Geo. And this advantage has been so lucrative that they're already executing a strategic expansion right into New York, hunting exactly where the biggest US enterprise marketing budgets live. Moving on to part three, esports, billboards, and culture. So to drive those kind of astronomical, gravity-defying numbers, you need a very specific, fiercely aggressive internal machine. And that starts right at the top. Peek AI's CEO, Marius Mainers, is definitely not your typical tech founder. He's actually a former elite professional esports athlete. We're talking about a guy who was once ranked among the top 100 League of Legends players globally. When you realize that, the company's hardcore play-to-win ethos makes total sense. Miners basically took that intense esports mindset and translated it directly into the business world through radical transparency. Get this, at Peec AI, they have a live revenue tracker that is visible to every single employee at all times. Imagine that. Everyone sees the score in real time, exactly like you would in a competitive video game. It keeps the entire team fiercely aligned, super competitive, and laser-focused on dominating what they see as a very narrow, high-stakes window to define this whole geo category. And that intensely competitive spirit, it totally bleeds into how they hire, too. They use this aggressive Bay Area-style tactic of poaching engineers with physical billboards right on the streets of Berlin. Christoph Klink, who's a partner at Antler and an investor in Peek, joked that these billboards are, quote, more often than not strategically placed in front of other tech companies across the city. I mean, in the middle of this intense talent war for AI engineers, you have to signal loud and clear that your company is the rocket ship worth leaving a comfortable job for. Which brings us to our final section, Europe's new AI playbook. When we zoom out from just Peec AI, we see this reveals a massive, crucial shift in the global venture capital landscape. Think back to 2021. The playbook back then was all about optimizing for these astronomical valuations over actual substance. Metrics were hidden and hype was literally everything. Today's European playbook is a totally different animal. Investors are laser-focused on public revenue milestones, genuine growth, and total transparency. A verified $10 million ARR milestone carries so much more weight now than some hype-filled press release, because it actually proves the business model is working in the real world. And the best part is, Peec AI isn't an isolated incident. There's a whole cohort here. You've got a vibe coding platform called Lovable that reportedly added an astonishing $100 million in revenue in a single month. Or look at Mistral over in Paris, hitting $300 million ARR this year. This hypergrowth cohort is proving definitively that European startups are finally closing the growth gap with America. They aren't just doing incremental software updates anymore. They are building genuinely new, highly demanded AI categories from scratch. The internet has fundamentally changed, and that traditional search bar is actively being replaced. Peec AI's staggering growth is all the proof we need that the race to measure, navigate, and dominate this new conversational landscape has already started. So I want to leave you with this one question to ponder. As AI chatbots become the primary default way we find information, who controls your brand's visibility? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.